Hits 96.
Hits 96, Chattanooga's #1 hit music station. Gino D here with you. And today I have the pleasure of being connected via Zoom to the one and only Joe Gatto. Joe, how are you today?
I am fantastic. Thanks for that intro, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, short and sweet, because I want to get into it. I know you only have a short amount of time, but I did want to just kind of introduce you, get you here. Obviously, people know you from Impractical Jokers, following you for years. I'm a huge fan of the show and everything that you do. I think your comedy is so funny. I'm so excited to talk with you. This is a fan moment for me, not only to do it professionally, but to be able to talk with you is just a highlight. So thank you again for taking the time and doing this.
You got it, man. I hope not to disappoint. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you have an upcoming comedy special. It's called Messing with People, which is something that we all know you like to do, is mess with people. And it's coming out on September 17th. People will be able to check it out on YouTube. What can we expect from Messing with People other than maybe the assumed messing?
Yeah, I break down why I get so much joy in it in the special. Really, it's really this is my stand-up comedy hour that was based on my first 2 years of doing stand-up, 2.5 years actually, and I didn't want just to go away at the end. I thought it was a great product, and I was very happy with the content. People enjoyed the show, and I was like, it's good enough to let's make our special. So I did my first solo special, and I was very happy with the way it came out. We filmed at the Paramount here in Huntington, Long Island, which is a hometown for me. Long Island is where I'm from, out in New York. So it was just a great night and really fun. And basically it just is a little bit more of me that you get, because I wasn't playing a character on Jokers. You know my personality, and I explain a little bit more of how I got there, more that I've done to my friends on and off camera,
Yeah.
my family, of course. And I dip into, being a father with my kids, and some stories about how that's panned out. It's just a really, really fun time. And I think people, if you enjoyed me on the show, you'll definitely enjoy my stand-up.
Yeah, no, I think we will, and we can't wait to check that out. And I know, did you feel a certain type of pressure kind of doing it by yourself now, coming out as your first solo? I know you've done some stand-up before and you've definitely dabbled, but this is kind of all eyes on you. Did you feel that pressure?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was the first time I was really on stage by myself. I had been doing live comedy forever.
Yeah.
My first shows were in 2000, but they were always collaborative with other guys, mostly those guys on stage, but I've always performed live, always loved it. So if I find a format, I'm not afraid of different formats to try to entertain. I've done TV, movie, sketch, improv,
Sure.
now a kid's book, podcast. Like, it's as long as I connect with it on a level, I think it's important. And I really enjoyed stand-up comedy. I really enjoyed the time you have, that you don't have to, I get the full 65 minutes to tell my tale and not have to split it up. So if the show is terrible, it's your fault. But if it's great, it was your job well done. So it's interesting.
How do you find the time? I know, and we're going to get into some of your projects here because you do have a lot to talk about, but how do you kind of balance the time between the family and then, of course, the podcast and then writing a book and everything else? What kind of works for you when it comes to figuring that out?
Yeah, I think balance is an illusion, and all you have is attention and time. So when you're working on the thing, that's what you need to pay attention to. Be it, you're writing your hour, you're doing your book, you're whatever, but you're with your family, you're with your kids. That's a lesson I learned, where it's like you need to be not only present in body, but also in mind, and sharing. If my kids ask me, Dad, can we play for 5 minutes? I'm like, I got 5 minutes. Yeah, I got 5 minutes. I could find that 5 minutes elsewhere. I'll stay up 5 minutes later. I'll eat dinner 5 minutes quicker, or whatever it is. But I think it's really important to be able to share the time, not necessarily balance it, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And appreciate the time, of course, that you are having.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
So, of course, getting ready for Messing with People, now that you are going to go on the Let's Get Into It tour, and think you've already started it off. So you've already kind of, the ship has sailed, if you will. You're going to be coming to Chattanooga right here on September 29th, and fans will be able to get tickets on our website at hits96.com if they haven't yet. And we're going to set that all up over at the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial. What can fans look forward to this? Because I know it's different material than they'll see in the special.
Yeah, it's a brand new show. So if you've seen me before, it's all new material. This one, I wanted to break it down a little more. So, the first one's out of the way, and let's get into it. Really, I started thinking about the kind of person, that I am. And I have this personality of being this brave, crazy kind of guy, but I wasn't always this way. I started as I was a nerd growing up, an OG. I was like an original geek back in the day. I used to make tests for my father. He'd come home from his 10-hour workday selling life insurance, and I'd be like, pop quiz, Dad. So it was interesting. And then I just take that journey and see things that I've learned, and really break down as humans, like on a human level, how we become who we are. It's your experiences, it's partial your DNA, it's what you've watched and become. And I just really, I love telling stories. I'm a storyteller, and I have plenty of stories that lead to that theme. And it quickly came together of like, let's get into it. How do people become people? So I'm really happy with this new hour. Definitely an evolution and a lot of fun.
Excellent. And how much of that is improvised versus what's structured? I know that you like to engage the live audience quite a bit. That's a lot of what your comedy was, or at least people know you for. Is there a little bit of that element, or is it more of
Yeah,
like a storytelling fashion?
it's more of a storytelling. I'm not afraid to jump in if something, if something sparks me, but I'm not really a crowd work comic. I that's not my forte. I have no problem talking to people and that, but I
Sure.
do enjoy telling my stories.
Mhm.
But I'll always, when I come to town, like when I get there to Chattanooga, I grab a coffee, I walk down Main Street, grab a couple donuts, hang out, just get a feel for the town. And that always sparks something to speak about up top in the beginning. And so there'll definitely be a piece of that.
Sure. Excellent. Excellent. Do you feel like now, especially since you guys are more well known in your face, of course, people know for what you're doing. When you come up to people, are they a little bit skeptical? Like, where's the camera? What's going on here? Do you find
I think
that?
I think that was more prevalent years ago, but
Sure.
definitely I mean, I've got stories of where I used to go into Target. I went to one store, I went to Target and I asked for paper towels. I asked this little old lady who worked there with her red vest, I was like,
Yep.
"Hey, is there excuse me, where are the paper towels?" And she just started backing away from me, going, "Oh no," waving a finger at me. She's like, "No, Joe, you're not getting me." And she like ran away from me. I was like, "Lady, I just need paper towels.
Quick customer
I'm here at the
service.
Target, my kids are messy."
Very cool. Speaking of your kids, you just wrote a children's book called Where's Barry? Recently released, just came out a few days ago. What inspired you to write this children's book, and what message do you hope kids will get from it? What do you want families to do with this book?
Yeah, it's my I want them to buy it.
Yes, of
And
course.
my
First step. First step.
yeah, I also love, my son gave me the story because he was freaking out one night. He lost his stuffy and he couldn't find it, and he had to retrace his steps, and we had to calm him down and things. So it was a fun story. He had hidden it. He was playing hide and go seek with his stuffy, and he hid it under a pot in the kitchen. Like we never would have found it. Like he did, and then he had to find it. He had to calm down and figure it out. So it was like a really cool story. I was like, "Oh, let me write this." Then it got illustrated by a great illustrator named Luke Flowers through that Penguin Kids books hooked me up with,
Mhm.
and it really came to life. It popped off the stage. We added my dog to it. One of my dogs, Spumoni's in it, which is really fun. And it just really is a great tale. And I think as parents, it's important that we teach our kids to cope. It's like the number one responsibility we could do because we're not going to be here. We're gone. They're
Mhm.
left with this set of skills to tackle this terrible thing called life. So I really wanted that to be part of the message for both the parents and the kids. And I think it came together in a beautiful way. It's not one of those preachy books it doesn't hit it heavy. It's definitely
Mhm.
entertaining. It's funny. For Joker's fans, there's a lot of like Easter eggs in it.
Okay.
Luke was a fan, so he drew like a Captain Fat Belly's like action figures in the closet. There's a picture of a genie. Like it's really cute. I'm a big fan of it.
Excellent. Was that always some kind of part of the plan to write a children's book? Was that always something you wanted to do, or did that just kind of happen?
I got into creative writing was my first forte in entertainment. When I
Oh,
was
okay.
younger, like I said, I was kind of geeky. I was writing short stories. I was writing things. I was writing poetry, and so I then became a parent and started reading these books. And I was like, oh, this is a cool medium, a cool to offer a bonding moment because it's such quality time when you read to your kids before bedtime. It's like my kids was like that's the most important part of their day for them. They say it to me, and it's like to be that for people and to be able to provide that as well now, I think is
Yeah.
really cool because I've been on TV a long time, so these people are growing up and having kids and whatnot. So to be able to connect on the next stage of their lives is really fun.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. Another project you have going on is Two Cool Moms. This is your podcast. It just debuted its second season. What kind of topics are you discussing? I know you work with another very funny comedian, Steve Byrne, on this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk about the podcast and why we should check it out if we haven't yet.
Steve's the best. Yeah, Steve Burns great. He's another stand-up comic friend. We've been friends a long time, like over, I think 12, 13 years at this point. And
Mhm.
we were always looking for something to work on together. My schedule opened up, I was able to have more time after leaving the show. It was podcasting was something we wanted to try. Got together and it was really fun. Him and I are both confidants for our friends and friend circles. People come to me for advice all the time and for him and for each other. Like he's one of the guys that got me through some of my rough time there where we were talking a couple years back. And it was like, oh, this is really fun. And we attributed it and quickly learned that our mothers were very cool moms who gave great motherly advice. And we feel like we inherited that gene. So we name it as
Okay.
an homage to our parents, our moms, two cool moms. And the first half of the podcast, we talk about anything and everything as comedians. And then the second half, stuff. We take fan submitted dilemmas and help people solve their problems as best we can.
Excellent. That sounds like a lot of fun. I can only
It is.
assume
Yeah, I mean, it's
it gets
great.
wild when it comes to
People get
questions.
you get the yeah, I mean the questions are interesting. Like we'll get some heavy stuff, we'll get some light stuff, it'll be like, my sister annoys me, what should I do? Or it's like, hey, I'm trying to should I reconnect with my father? And they tell me like all this stuff that's happened. And it's like, wow, like you really dig in deep, with some people. And then like, what was the worst movie you ever saw? So
Sure,
it's like
right.
really you're all over the gamut, which is I think one episode we answered like, what was the worst movie you saw? Should I ask this girl to marry me? And should I quit my job? And I was like, it's all over
Hey.
the place. And it was like, it's crazy,
And that's going to be a lot of fun for you and Steve too, to be able to just bounce off of that. Of course, each
for
other.
sure.
I mean,
For
you
sure.
can
And we
go-
don't really, we both have different insight. We kind
Yeah.
of get to the same place most of the times, but sometimes it's like, he's like, what are you talking about, Joe? And I'm like, what are you talking about, Steve? Like, you're wrong. But for the most part, we kind of like do our best to try to give advice to people because at the end of the day, they're reaching out to strangers on the internet and hoping to get some intel. So we do what we can. We take that part of our job seriously.
Excellent. We'll be sure to put a link up at hits96.com so people can go check that out. Again, that's Two Cool Moms. Another project that you probably don't talk about as much, but I know that is a passion for you, is the Gatto Pups and Friends. This is your nonprofit based out of New York to help out animals and advocating for disabled pets and senior pets. Talk about that. I know you were very passionate when it comes to animals, especially dogs.
Yeah, it's probably my one of my biggest thing that it spends most of my time with is really this nonprofit that we have out here in New York. It's great. It's for senior dog rescue. We started about 2 years ago. I think we just adopted out our 116th dog, maybe, or something like that. We found a home for that, which is great because we used to just collect all these old dogs, right? My wife has got a very big heart, and the home would just be filled with these dogs, no teeth, tongue hanging out. And it was like, all right. And you get these dogs, and they get reborn. Like they get a loving home, they get out of the shelters. They get a little bit of love and attention. And we just had one of our dogs, Mocha, celebrate her 16th birthday. And we had like a little sweet 16 party for her. It was fun. But, so we have dogs that are ours and dogs that we adopt out. And it's great. It's really just, fans have gotten around it. The dog rescue community is a great community of loving people. It's a really nice group of people to be with. And it's important work to me, and it's a family affair. Me, my kids come and help out at the adoption center we have. They come to events. My daughter sells the T-shirts and and things, and helps with the donations. She's super sweet. So yeah,
excellent. We do a lot of work, of course, with the radio station, with the Humane Society, and helping out. So that was something that I did want to bring up because I think it's a really cool thing. And I myself am a dog lover, and I think it's fantastic any chance we can to help out that community. You're right; they're just great people.
Well, if you need one, I'll bring one to Chattanooga with me. My cat.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go.
I'll drop one off to you.
Joe, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for doing this again. September 29th, you're coming to Chattanooga. You'll be here in the Scenic City, the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Auditorium. We're looking forward to it. Of course, we'll check out the special September 17th on YouTube, and that's called Messing with People. And then, of course, all the links to the children's book, the podcast, and everything. You're a very busy man, and we appreciate you coming by the Scenic City and, of course, taking the time to talking with me. We do a cool thing on here on Hits 96. We kind of end with something I call the satchel of questions. It's just going to be a random question for you. We have a satchel here. We pull it out. It could be anything from a would you rather to just a random question about your biggest fear. Who knows? But that's kind of how we close out here. Let's do this. One line.
I love a good satchel. I love a good
There we
satchel.
go. Yeah. How could you not? How could you not? All right, here we go. So would you rather be a famous musician, or a famous astronaut? They're really random. Would you rather be the musician or an astronaut? Super famous.
I will say I've had conversations with friends in the industry who are famous musicians.
Okay.
And I say there is got to be no feeling in the world when you just hold the mic out and an arena full of people are singing your song back to you from the bottom of their soul. So I will say that, but to be able to look down and see how small Earth is and be like, this is crazy. I feel like that's life-changing. I think that's like bonkers. That's bazonkers. I would probably go with the astronaut. The fame thing doesn't matter.
Sure.
I think just being able to be like, you see up there? I went there.
I went there. Puts things in perspective for sure.
I took a lap. You know what I mean? So I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that's like an experience that only a handful of people probably have had. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, Joe, thank you for the time. That was great. We'll make sure to get to the show, and that is coming up on September 29th. September 29th at the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Auditorium. I appreciate the time. We'll see you soon.
You're the best, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's 9.